Hey there guys, James Wilson here, and... Who the hell are you two? Oh, Jesus Christ, sorry. Didn't realise. We are imposters.
Yeah.
Right, I thought
From
you were.
the YouTube channel Who Addicts Reviews.
Ah, I don't know who they are.
No idea.
We're the Who Addicts here.
Yes,
so.
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
We're from the Who Are Dicks. Because we're dicks. That's been a YouTube comment before.
Yeah,
Yeah, it has.
That's original.
Anyway, so we welcome back Matthew and Liv, who are back for the first time since our review of the pilot.
Yes.
They have returned. It's good to see them back. Not really. I'm already sick of them. Anyway,
Thanks.
sit back and enjoy, you're welcome, as we review Oxygen. Save your breath, guys.
Matthew.
Matthew. Oh, sorry, I was doing the Oxygen. Oh, you meant the episode.
And I still work with idiots.
So, I pretty much enjoyed this episode on first and second viewing. It took Matthew a second viewing to get around to it. Liv seemed unimpressed and pretty much panting and coughing and yawning throughout the whole thing. I thought you were just referencing the title of the episode itself.
I actually enjoyed this episode a lot more on first viewing than second viewing.
Really?
Yes. How weird is that?
See, I'm the complete opposite. Like, all three of us are much different in our views. James, you loved it on both viewings.
Yeah.
I didn't like it on first viewing, but then really liked it on second. Whereas Liv sort of liked it a bit on first viewing, and on second...
Just worsened, really.
worsened. Interesting.
Well,
It wasn't that bad, though.
All three of us completely differ on a story for once.
Because with this episode, it's not terrible, but...
I will say something. On second viewing, it did kind of... I was more aware of its problems. But they didn't waver my enjoyment of it, really. It made space the enemy. It made space scary, and it is a scary place. And it's also ironic. I love the irony of the episode in that the thing that's meant to save you, meaning the spacesuits, it's the one that's killing you. I enjoyed the irony of the episode and just everything within it. The Doctor losing his TARDIS and his sonic screwdriver and his sight randomly. And, you know, Bill was also in actual danger. She was in danger for once. So I really, really liked the episode for that purpose.
How I come to compare this episode is that for me, I enjoyed Knock Knock and Thin Ice much better than this. So they're my thoughts on it.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we've not been on the channel since the pilot, so for any YouTube viewers, quick recap, I guess. I thought Smile was bang average.
Terrible.
I thought Thin Ice was really good.
I love Thin Ice.
I thought Knock Knock was really, really good.
And I love Knock Knock.
And I think Oxygen is really good. Where it ranks, I don't know in terms of a ranking yet. But, yeah, I think the reason as to why I liked Oxygen more... See, I'm completely different to you again. Because you were more aware of its problems on second viewing, whereas I just liked it a lot more. I think it's because I understood the story. I mean, when I first watched it, I put out loads of tweets of how much I didn't like it, and people were in shock. And I kind of regret putting them tweets out now, because at first I found the whole Oxygen expensive money thing, that whole concept a little bit lame and dull. I thought the episode went round in circles, and I didn't really care for anyone. But on second viewing, I don't think I've ever U-turned more. I really like the concept. It's different. It's never been done before. It's original. I thought the villains looked incredible. And I really liked everything about it in the end. Apart from the odd thing, which we'll talk about. But yeah, it's weird.
I mean, it's definitely an episode that seems to be kind of... does well on second viewing. You know, and I think, well, Liv is an exception. Liv is an awkward exception.
I always am.
But yeah, it's I think it was a really good episode. The tone of it was, I think, really good, and it really took me back to the classic series when, you know, when space was the enemy, when, you know, being with the Doctor had its perils, you know, and it wasn't all gumdrops and rainbows. And to be honest, it has been for the last few episodes. It's been all fun and games for Bill, I think, in a lot of ways. Yeah, she's had her kind of moral stipulations with the Doctor. She's had her moral differences. The Doctor's perfectly fine with a kid dying, which is kind of dark, and Bill is kind of very, very broken up about it. And I think, yeah, throughout the series she's had her moral problems, but in this episode she was in genuine danger twice. You know, in fact, throughout the whole episode, really, and to actually see her scared, you and me said during the episode, during our second watch, was she seemed normal and actually, you know, scared, which made her relatable.
Yeah, I think everything Bill reacts to, everything she sees, she reacts to it in a very genuine and realistic and relatable way.
Indeed.
The smallest thing, like an alien, he looks exactly the same as us, but he's blue. And she's fascinated by it.
Yeah.
And then when she realises that she's in deep danger, like when she finds out the Doctor's blind, she is so upset by it because he's her only saviour. And she genuinely gets really scared when he's not there to help her. And that really does make the Doctor come across as the important, clever, you know, the best guy in the room. And it makes Bill come across as the companion who is really scared of everything. I mean, if you were to put Clara in that position, she wouldn't have been scared at all, and she'd have probably been trying to do just as much as the Doctor. And that's why I love Bill so much. She is,
I adore Bill.
The way she speaks, it's so organic, it's so real. She just feels so relatable and down to earth, and she's getting better every single week.
Yeah.
Every episode of Series 10 so far, Bill in my eyes has shone right through.
She has.
She's a breath of fresh air. She's so new to us and relatable. For the first time in ages, we finally have a relatable companion at long last.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got the windows open here, guys, so sorry if you're hearing the borough gnat here. But yeah, I also love... I say this in every review, and I have said this in every review. The Doctor and Bill's chemistry continues to shine through.
Amazing.
It's an absolutely amazing chemistry that I enjoy seeing.
It's so much better than 12 and Clara.
Oh yeah, definitely, because, I mean, I understand why they wanted to go in that direction with Clara, really, because they wanted a companion that was kind of a bit more independent and could actually take care of herself. But that wasn't really relatable. That's kind of what made Clara kind of a two-dimensional character, was that you can't be human and be perfectly fine in those bloody situations. You've got to be scared. I mean, even in Series 7 Part 2, she was actually perfectly fine throughout everything a lot of the time. We barely saw her scared. So it was just... I just loved this episode because when she was hyperventilating and the fact that she was breathing more, so her panicking was in fact what was going to kill her. So that's what really had the intensity for this episode, and I think that was what was amazing with the episode. I was on the edge of my seat throughout a lot of the moments in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I really liked as well was the setting of it just being on a spaceship, or whatever you want to call it, a space station, in the middle of deep space. I mean, isn't that... I mean, again, Doctor Who is using one of the most basic fears to its advantage, in that the villain wasn't really these spacesuit creatures, it was space itself.
Yeah.
And the fact that what is one of the worst places to be, and what... I mean, the one thing that keeps us safe, the one thing that is keeping us alive every single day is oxygen. We wouldn't be here without it. So the fact that is the one thing that is killing you in a way, that is the focal point of the story, and our worst nightmare is to be without it and to be in the empty vacuum of space. That's why I love the film Gravity, because it's such a simple, basic fear, and it's hell. It's to be in that position, and that's what this episode plays with, and I really like that.
That's what actually came to mind when when the spacesuit zombies were kind of floating off into space. I just imagined George Clooney just floating off, just going, "Oh, hi there." Sorry, just when you mentioned Gravity there, I had to bring that up. But yeah, let's talk about the one thing that nobody really wants to talk about: Nardole.
Can I start off with this?
Go on then.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Because in the beginning, I didn't mind him. I was laughing at his jokes a bit. There was some part of me was saying, okay, he's not too bad. The recent episodes I have seen him in, he's not been too bad. But then, as it goes on, he does get really annoying. And his silly humour comes into quick. And that just drives me mad. And on my notes, I said that Nardole is so much better in small doses than all at once in a whole episode.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, one thing I will say, I mean, the last time we did a review obviously was the pilot, and we all pretty much hated Nardole in that. And ever since, I know you've warmed to him.
I have quite a bit, because I've enjoyed his authoritative kind of way that he's went with it. I loved the beginning of the episode where he was kind of saying to the Doctor, right, you made an oath, you've got to stick to this promise. I really enjoyed that. And how he was telling the Doctor off, and the Doctor was really missing travelling, and clearly he's made a promise that he's forced Nardole to make him keep. And so, yeah, I think it was really good. And that ending speech where he really just yells at the Doctor, that was something, I've got to say, I've never really seen from Matt Lucas before. So, ever, in anything that I've seen him in. So, that was, I think, in that small moment, I know there's a lot of ways to go yet until Nardole is even close to being among the greats like Captain Jack Harkness. In fact, that's going to take at least 3 seasons of a spin-off to make him like that. Please, oh God, no Nardole spin-off. But in that last bit, in that speech where he's yelling at the Doctor, that bit, it got me. I liked that bit. In fact, I loved Nardole in that moment. I think he's got potential. He shows a sliver of potential in that moment.
Yeah, this episode was always going to be a big one because, in terms of Nardole's character and my thoughts on him, because in episode 2, 3 and 4, I did start to warm to him because he was in it briefly. Yeah. And when he was in it for a reason. He wasn't... I mean, and my main worry was that Nardole was literally going to be there for the sake of being there, and he was just going to keep throwing comedic lines at the end of every sentence. But in episode 2, 3 and 4, he had a point. He was in it the right amount, for the right period of time, and for the right purpose. But when I realised that he would be in all of Oxygen, that was when I did have my reservations, and I did start to think, oh God, which way is this going to go? Is this positive momentum going to continue? Am I still going to continually like Nardole? Or is him being in a full episode going to revert me back to square one? And it's done a little bit of both, because like you, I love his authoritative side. It's a different side of Matt Lucas and his acting, which, you know, I'm really glad he's shown us. And he has got a good purpose in the story arc, but I still don't think he had much of a purpose in this. And at the start of the episode, yes, like you, Liv, I was enjoying him, he was fine. And at the end, I love that scene like you. Yeah. But I dare say in the middle, not the beginning or the end, in the middle of the episode, he did revert back to having these funny little lines, funny little jokes that just fell flat.
He even had a reoccurring gag. Yeah. And that's the thing. A reoccurring gag, you have to be certain that it's funny. What made Jamie Mathieson think that, Nardole flirting about with, reminiscing about an artificial intelligence that he used to flirt about with, having that there, that wasn't funny to begin with. So to have it reoccur around another 2 times, you know, it was too much. So I preferred sarcastic Nardole when he was saying things like, 34 of your crew members will do that to you. You know, like him being really sarcastic and him being really stroppy with the Doctor. I enjoyed that side to him, and that was funny without him being, you know, silly. And I thought that was really good for that particular moment. But
what I will say as well is one of the other big worries I was having was the chemistry between 12 and Nardole, because when I seen them in all the promotional posters together,
I have that written down.
It was like spots and stripes. Yeah. I just couldn't understand how they were going to work. And fair play, I am starting to see that. Yeah. And that's because Nardole has a purpose in the story arc, in that he and, well, the Doctor obviously has some oath that he has to protect this vault, and Nardole is the one enforcing this oath on him. And I am and I am intrigued as to see where that goes.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that he's got that purpose, because without that he would kind of be pointless. But in terms of their chemistry, I'm starting to get on board with it.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad, because the one big issue I was having running up to Series 10 was Nardole. And I can kind of say, apart from a few moments here and there, he's doing all right.
Yeah.
He is doing all right.
Yeah. I mean, definitely.
Because I just hope with Nardole that it kind of continues in small doses and not so much of him.
Yeah.
For me, personally.
Well, that's fine. I mean, hopefully, if they start drip feed, I mean, I was also worried they were going to throw him into everything too quickly. But if they continue to drip feed him into stories a little bit more, then that's how we will come to accept his character, because that was the problem with him being a full-time companion after only having 2 appearances in 2 silly Christmas specials. It was too forced. Felt like he was being shoved down our throats. But if they continually slowly drip feeding him to us, piece by piece, fleshing out his character a little bit more each week, that is the perfect way how to build him up.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, you know, I mean, the thing is that can we also think of the big picture here is, compared to how much we slammed on Nardole in the beginning, can we all at least agree that he isn't as bad as we made him out to be? Can we at least say that? I mean, he's not been awful.
No.
He's not been unwatchable.
No.
You know, I mean, we've had the Doctor and Bill to fall back on. I mean, our worry was that Nardole would stand there and have nothing to do, and he'd be so ridiculous and just wouldn't really suit the show at all. But he's slotted in. He's found his place, or he's finding his place. And I just hope that, you know, that continues and that Nardole begins to actually find that place. And I don't know, but next week, it may be with Extremis, it kind of feels like that may be his time to kind of really get there, you know?
Yeah, well, I hope so. But the trajectory he's on at the moment's a good one.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah. Is there anything else we need to say on the episode? I would like to say something on the spacesuit zombies. That's what I'm dubbing them. I don't care. What are our thoughts on them and how creepy they looked? Their makeup job was incredibly done, I think.
I really like the spacesuit zombies.
So creepy.
That's the name we're going to give them.
I don't think there's any other name they've been given.
Yeah.
They weren't given an episode.
The part I liked was that in the I think it was in the beginning when in
the intro.
No, it was you know, that empty spacesuit person.
Yeah.
I like that bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great idea. And I'm liking how many creepy episodes we're getting.
Yeah.
Usually we get one a series, but they're getting the balance right this series, because in previous series they've not had as many dark episodes, and there's been a lot of comedic stuff in between. But I'm liking the tone they're setting with the series, because it's dark, but it's not to the point where kids are going to, parents are going to be complaining.
Series 8 and 9 combined, would you say?
Possibly, and
minus the bad bit stuff.
Yeah, and that's the same with 12, who we'll get onto, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, these I like the spacesuit zombies. They're simple. They were basic, and they just had a really creepy look to them.
They did have a
They looked great, the way they were directed.
That one at the beginning with the very swollen face.
Yeah.
God.
And going back to the intro, I thought it was probably one of the best intros of the series.
Yeah.
Because there was obviously a couple. They were outside this spaceship, and she is trying to say something lovable to him, and he can't hear her, and he never hears it because she gets killed, and then he does as well. It was a great intro, but yeah, I think they were absolutely brilliant for a villain on the side. They weren't the main villain, but for what they were very good.
Yeah, and the supportive cast, the sort of disposable cast were, as you said, they weren't anything to really kind of love or hate that much. They were just there, and there was that one that was being a bitch for absolutely no reason. And maybe that was just her way of coping. Maybe she was scared and that was her way of coping, just being a total bitch. But They were a disposable cast. They weren't anything to smile at, but they
No.
were, you know, just there
Yeah.
to kill,
Yeah.
basically. And yeah, I liked how the episode resolved. Going on to that, what was your thoughts on the Doctor's blindness? That I thought that was a bit random on first watch, but I began to see its purpose later on.
Well,
I just hope that this blindness is not a thing. Just to introduce back the Sonic shades.
yeah, well, they're not. They just look like shades at the moment. I don't know if they're Sonic.
Yeah.
But obviously he's lost his Sonic screwdriver, so they might be making a return.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the one part of this episode I'm struggling on, because like you, yeah, the side cast, they did their job. They were just
Nothing
there.
special.
They were there to be killed off. I wouldn't say I cared too
No.
much about them. That's probably my only negative on them. And it's when they were killed off, I wasn't shocked or in tears or anything. I was like, okay, they've been killed off. So that they were solid, but the Doctor being blind, I mean, it definitely put the Doctor in a different scenario as to where he's been, and there's nothing wrong with them doing that. He's never,
No, I mean,
as far as I'm
pushing-
aware, been blind before. So
Pushing the boat out and you know, pushing the envelope in terms of the Doctor and what he goes through and what he does and how he copes with certain situations, because it's always good to put him under pressure, even after all this time that we've been travelling with him, 50 years or longer. You know, it's kind of, you know, it's good to kind of see him under pressure and just kind of, you know, oh, he's blind now. How's he going to adjust to that? You know,
Yeah.
And I do love the idea of, you know, I love where they're going with it, kind of pushing the envelope and just making the Doctor less, you know, make it less easy for him, make it as hard as possible for him to save the day.
exactly, it's a different position for him
Yeah.
to be in, and I think 12. I mean, just talking about the Doctor himself, again, and I'd say the same for every episode of the series. He's been absolutely
Oh, he has.
phenomenal.
Spot on.
And I just look at him and I think, wow, I'm so sad that it's his last series. But what you were saying earlier about it being a mix between series 8 and 9, I'm getting that with 12.
Yeah.
He's dark when he needs to be, and he's funny when he needs to be, but it's not a childish sort of funny. It's a sarcastic, witty, quick sort of funny.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I want. That's the balance I want.
Yeah.
With series 10, I finally think that they've finally got Peter's Doctor right.
Too
Yeah.
late though.
Yeah. It is
If
too
only
late.
they'd got
It is
him right
too
from the
late.
start. Well, for me, Series 8 is still my favourite series. To be honest, I still think that Series 8 is a great series, and 12 was, I think, great in that. But as we've said before, it's not really guaranteed that this is how it went with the BBC. But I just don't think the BBC, I think he found that Doctor too dark, so they went in Series 9 and said, right, make him lighter. They did make him lighter. That didn't work out either. So Series 10, they found a balance between the two.
They have.
That's the sort of pattern I think they went through in his
The
tenure.
perfect balance they found with him.
Better late than never.
Yeah, better late than never.
And obviously, you said he went blind. He also went blind again in the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And the cliffhanger, I don't know where I stand on
I
that.
don't.
Because
Neither do I.
it felt flat in a weird sort of way. Like, when I seen it, I wasn't like, oh my god. I wasn't shocked. It wasn't like a big wow sort of cliffhanger. I was kind of left, oh.
Yeah, and with the music going and then the screen going black.
I don't
and
think
then...
it was edited particularly well
No.
or directed.
No,
It was
no.
a bit of a rushed cliffhanger that was
Oh, yeah.
open. If they'd have built it up a little bit, then yeah.
Yeah.
But I felt as if it was a little bit rushed and
Yeah.
could have been executed a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to talk about the actual story itself, because we've talked about everything surrounding it. But probably the biggest issue I had on first viewing is I didn't really understand what was going on in the story. Whereas in second viewing, I completely got it. And that was the twist that somewhere there is this company who are recycling people over and over again just to sell more oxygen.
Yeah.
And the suits are doing what they were programmed to do, which is dispose of organic matter.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on that side of the story? Because at first I did think it was a little bit lame, but on second viewing, it's very original.
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of, you've said original and I'm about to reference towards another movie. There's this movie that I saw called Moon, where this man played by Sam Rockwell, and he's this man who is, I don't want to ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, but basically he finds out that he is the first along many lines of clones of himself. Like, he has been mining to the very centre of the moon, and to save money, the company has basically just made... it saves money trying to get like different astronauts over and over again. They've made clones of the same man over and over again. So once he dies, another guy just comes in that looks exactly the same and just finishes where the other guy died and left off. So that's where this kind of reminds me of corporate greed, and you know, that definitely seems to... I thought that was a bit of a U-turn for the episode a little bit. That's where the one negative goes. I was thinking about it and I just kind of thought maybe it's just a bit of too much of a drastic U-turn, but then I sort of thought, yeah, you know, it's your classic story about corporate greed and, you know, how, you know, big money is kind of, you know, really morally horrible, and you know, I really liked that.
Yeah, I mean, they could have went down the route of it just being spacesuit zombies just killing off a group of people one by one, and they've just got to escape or blow up the ship or something.
Yeah.
And you know, they did that well to a certain extent, because of course there was a couple of great scenes with Bill when Bill was on the brink of death twice. I mean, that scene where she was exposed to the vacuum of space, that was edited absolutely brilliantly. The direction, everything about that, seeing the effects of her face changing, her vision becoming more impaired, that was amazing. And then to find that the Doctor had sacrificed himself, that was very heroic.
Yeah.
That was a great Doctor companion moment. And then, of course, later on in the episode, again, she is taken by the spacesuit.
Yeah.
The Doctor has to leave her behind. So the scary side of the story, the Under Siege sort of getting chased around a spaceship by villain story, that's been done many times, but I think it was done really well. But I think to save it from being the most stereotypical, cliched Doctor Who Under Siege story, being chased by monsters like Under the Lake, like many others, I thought it was a good U-turn. Because there was a deeper meaning, a deeper villain.
Yeah.
Which is greed. A bit like Thin Ice, really.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I mean, there are many episodes, you know, and movies, really, that are kind of examples of this. Voyage of the Damned is kind of a bit of an example of that as well, of corporate greed. You know, big corporations kind of being behind mass homicides, basically. And I think that was really good, I think. And so, yeah, I'm beginning to lighten towards that, as you say that, but yeah.
It had all the ingredients of the template that is a Doctor Who story, but it had its own twist on top, which is good.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I just felt for me that the episode was just going round in circles a bit in the middle.
I felt that
the
on
space
first
station
viewing.
was kind of in a circle, but
I know that,
you
but
meant as the story, not as the right? Okay.
Because first part I enjoyed it, but then in the middle, I describe it as off track and round in circles, and it lost me.
I can completely see where you're coming from, because I felt that in first viewing. Like I was saying, it did have that cliched, they're on a ship, they're getting chased by these creatures, they're going from room to room, they're getting stopped, then they've got to somehow keep going. I can see where you're coming from.
Because I was hoping that just something extra might happen.
Yeah.
But it never did.
See, I felt that's what the cliffhanger, that's what the twist said. It kind of saved this story from kind of falling back into being that average Doctor Who chased around a spaceship story.
Yeah.
Which you obviously felt.
I did feel it.
Did the ending, that twist with the revelation that it's all been like a hoax by some company, didn't that ending really do anything? Did it save the episode for you at all?
No, because the episode lost me in the middle.
You were already kind of gone by that point.
And but as I'm stating, it's not terrible and it's not the worst.
No.
It just wasn't for me. And in my conclusion and rating, you'll also might understand why I felt like that. Yeah,
well, if we've got nothing else to say, we can crack on with our conclusions and ratings, unless there's anything else you want to bring up.
No. Definitely not, no.
So who wants to conclude first?
Well, considering that you two are the returning ones of the channel, I believe Matthew and then Liv.
Oh, okay. I'm on the spot.
Yeah.
Well, Oxygen's a very interesting episode for me. It's one that I've completely U-turned on after first viewing, and I don't remember myself ever U-turning this much for a story in a long time. At first I found it boring, dull, repetitive, but on second viewing I understood the story a lot more. I understood what was going on in the background. It didn't feel like a stereotypical Doctor Who story. There was a great twist on the end. I loved the spacesuit zombie people. I continue to absolutely adore the 12th Doctor and Bill. Nardole wasn't as good as he has been previously, but was still good in parts, but also still a bit poor in parts. I really like the ending, the twist as well. The only thing is the cliffhanger at the very end did kind of make me leave the episode in a bit of a what sort of, like, what's going on sort of feel. On first viewing, I would have probably only gave it a 5, but on second viewing, I'm going to give it an 8.
Wow, that is a substantial change. Wow.
Once I got what the story was doing, I really then appreciated it and really, really enjoyed it.
There are quite a few episodes that'll do that, you know, that'll
yeah.
take a second viewing for you to really get your head around it. It took me, I think, 5 viewings probably to get around Blink before I actually stopped being scared of it. But yes, Liv, go on.
Well, in my conclusion, I liked it better the first time watching it than the second time. I loved the first part of it, but and then towards the middle, it was getting repetitive, boring, and round in circles. I love Bill and 12 still together. Nardole is so much better in small doses. Because at the beginning, I said that I liked Thin Ice and Knock Knock better. So I'm rating this a 6, just because Thin Ice I'd give a 7, and Knock Knock I'd give an 8.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Do you understand my
Fair enough.
kind of reasoning towards it?
That definitely. Hey, I was expecting lower than a 5.
It wasn't that bad.
No. But yeah, that's a very reasonable rating. I mean, with me, I really enjoyed. I enjoyed everything with the episode. I enjoyed the plot. I think it's a pacing issue that you had a problem with, where you felt like it went round in circles. I think that was a pacing issue, which a lot of episodes in recent years have actually had a pacing issue. They've just been stoppy-starty kind of thing. And yeah, I really enjoyed this episode's tone. It's it's villain. It's kind of the villains of it, which were the spacesuits and space itself. I found that to be a ironic twist on the fact that spacesuits are meant to be saving your life. The Doctor and Bill remain to go further and very strong in their chemistry. I thought that was very, very good, and they've went from good friends to good chemistry, good banter, to they would actually lay down their lives for each other. And I think that was a really incredible moment in this episode where the Doctor kind of saves Bill, and I thought that was really nice. Nardole, again, like you guys, he had his moments in this episode, but in the middle he kind of became the Nardole that we all hate. And so yeah, but I really enjoyed Nardole's last blast at the Doctor at the very end. Like Matthew, the cliffhanger left me a little bit okay. But yeah, I would say that this episode was overall enjoyable. It had me on the edge of my seat at a lot of moments. So yeah, I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Nice. Yeah, like I say, only a few negatives. I mean, I can see why it could be boring. I can see why it would go around circles. The supporting cast can be seen as a little bit ordinary.
But it wasn't the worst. And well, to me, a 6 is still good.
It's still very good.
I
think it's still very decent. I think
it is.
It's definitely higher than a lot of ratings that we've given episodes in the past. So yeah,
I think one thing we can all agree on is that Series 10, other than maybe Smile, is going on at a very good standard right now.
It is.
As I mentioned to Matthew the other day, Series 10 in Doctor Who finally, again, every Saturday, I'm also finally getting excited for the show again.
I'm really excited for every episode.
And then with Series 9 I wasn't, so it is good.
Yeah,
it's
just a case of if Stephen Moffat can follow it through with a decent storyline and not go the way of the hybrid but before we end, I'd just like to say that it is great to have Matthew and Liv back. I think after a few weeks away, Matthew and Liv have been through a tremendous loss lately, and they've done very well to get back. I mean, I was beginning to worry that you guys weren't going to be here for the rest of Series 10, so I was getting really worried about that. I wouldn't blame you if you did, really, but it's really great to have you back, and I've missed you guys like crazy. I'll be honest, I really have. But at the same time, I think we got to say a huge, massive thank you to Jacob, our Bacup. Yes. Bacup has been a tremendous help. He stepped up to the plate. He was he hasn't been too good with the idea of, you know, being in videos and you know and being present on them. But when Matthew and Liv had to take a short hiatus from the channel, he stepped up to the plate and he kind of came on to doing previews and reviews with me, and he's done a tremendous job. I didn't think we could pull it off at first, you know, but with Skype and Facebook calls, just and recording each other's kind of conversation, and that made both sides of a review, and that, you know, made it simulate as if we might as well have been in the same room together. So he's done a tremendous job there, and he's had to do a hell of a job with some of our reviews because the connection's kind of been weird and internet and that, so he's done tremendously well. So let's give a huge thank you to Bacup Martin.
Thank you, Bacup.
Bacup.
Yeah.
Yes. I love Bacup.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
No, but yeah,
screw the lot of you.
But seriously, yeah, we can't thank Bacup enough for stepping in, and because, yeah, like you say, he was dead cautious about being in videos ever before. And for him to jump into not just the channel, but the channel that's probably its most important period.
But I'm going to be a little bit evil here, and I'm going to say that now that he's on the channel, guys, we can't let him go away. We can't let him go back into his cave.
That's it now.
He's done it now.
But he has admitted to me that now he's had the taste for it, he would come back for more.
He's caught the video making bug.
Yes,
I knew it. Liv, you were going to say something.
I'd just like to say a massive thanks for all the messages of support that we got.
Yes, we've received a lot.
Away. They were really nice.
Yeah, we've received a lot of great messages. And at one point, I felt bad for taking back. I felt bad for taking Jacob's spot. I was like, "What do I do here?"
Everyone loves Bacup.
But I think, and I might be spoiling you guys a little bit, but Bacup does have. I can't believe I'm calling him Bacup. He has exams, etc. So he probably wouldn't have continued anyway. But I think he might be joining us three for the finale. So all four of us might be in a review.
All four of us, ladies and gentlemen.
Bacup Martin.
Bacup Martin. So yes, we hope you enjoyed the review, and don't forget to spam Bacup with all sorts of messages about don't leave, don't leave, don't leave, don't leave, don't leave. So yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely.
So then, oh, Jesus Christ! Sorry. I'm not used to having them around. It's going to take a while to get used to that one. I didn't know you had a chin. I knew that was going to come into it eventually. Yes, Matthew, I've shaved. Yes, I have a chin. 2 of them, actually. Actually, I made that 3. Yep, definitely 3. Anyway, so please like this video, subscribe to the Who Addicts for some more great videos throughout Series 10, and also comment in the section below what you think of and what you would rate Oxygen. And we will see you guys, all 3 of us will see you. Well, Matthew, with him being the Nardole of this channel, he will probably just pop in every now and again, just say a crap joke and have no purpose in the video whatsoever. Anyway, we will see you in our preview of the next episode, Extremis. See you guys then. I haven't missed you in the slightest.
No,
I've missed Liv to bits.
I've not missed you at all.
Yeah.
I've not even come back for you, really.
No,
I should just leave.
Yeah,
please go away.
Go on, get out.
I'm sick of you.
Get out.
You get out.
It's my house.
So it is.